Hi, everybody. It's Catherine, Michelle, and Sophia.
Hello.
And we finally, finally, after, like Sophia pointed out to me earlier tonight, that it's been almost a year, are getting this out there to you. And this is the blood analysis presentation that we're going to be doing. This will be multiple videos. Don't know how many yet at this point, but we're going to be covering the blood analysis reports and then comparing that with items that were tested, and then items that were tested, swabbed and tested, and then only swabbed but not tested from the crime scene. So Sophia, what would you like to add?
Just that we've, like you said, we've been working on this for a really long time, but I think that the audience is really going to appreciate what we have discovered and that we're going to present to them. And I think that's about it.
And before we begin, I'm sorry,
Sure.
I'm notorious for interrupting. I think everybody knows that by now.
Go ahead, go ahead.
But before we begin, I really want Sophia to read a paragraph that she found in a textbook. Now, this kind of applies more toward the video that we did on the clothing and how it's to be handled from not only either the ME's office or the police officers, the investigators. And this is coming from a book that she has, and I just think it's very valid. So would you please read that to us?
This is from Crime Scene Investigations and Reconstruction by Robert L. Ogle, Jr. It's an actual textbook. And it's talking about the clothing, which we covered in our last video, and the blood on the clothing. And this says, whenever possible, the entire garment bearing the bloodstain should be collected. The garment should be hung up or laid out on a new, clean butcher paper for drying prior to packaging. Special care should be taken to avoid folding or crumpling the garment and to arrange it in its normal configuration before drying, in order to avoid alteration of the bloodstains patterns or wipe transfer from one location to another on the garment. Special care should also be taken to avoid loss or contamination of trace evidence on the garment. Once dried thoroughly, the garment should be wrapped in clean paper by placing the clean butcher paper under and over the garment and folding, using the paper upon which the garment was dried as the bottom sheet, if the garment was dried in this manner, before folding to further ensure protection of trace evidence and loss of the bloodstain patterns. Package each garment in a separate paper bag and seal appropriately. And so that's basically it.
Yep. And from what we've been able to read on the reports and then what we see in the photos, the few photos we have, it doesn't appear that that's what happened. But I think it's really important, especially the part where she read in that book. Now, this is an actual textbook, correct?
Correct.
From like a college?
Yes, and they mention this in several different textbooks that I have in regards to blood staining on clothing. I mean, it's almost verbatim. So this is protocol.
Okay, and this is super important. So it's not about Sophia having an opinion. This is something that is being taught in the crime scene investigation realm within a college or a university setting. This is probably a college textbook. So yes. This is what students are taught. And they are taught that the clothes come off and they're to be photographed how they appeared on the body. And we will, again, cover this more. I believe we're going to come back and do a different video. But this brings us back to what Sophia pointed out in our last video that has to do with the corset. And I think that's pretty important because the corset was photographed inside out and the blood patterns didn't match the rest of the clothes. But if the ME is doing it according to protocol, where it comes off the body and photographed as it comes off the body, then there's a huge problem, which is what she was bringing out before. But we really want to I really wanted her to bring that to your attention. So that's something to keep in the back in your mind, and we will revisit that as well. And so before we get started, because we have a lot to cover tonight and it's only part of it, Sophia has an opening statement she would like to make. And I'm actually going to ask her to do this for each one of the videos that we do, because it'll help kind of reiterate and keep things going so you can follow along with where we're going.
Just let me find it again.
Okay.
Okay. During the next several videos, Catherine and I will be pointing out factual artifacts from the crime scene that have to do with blood spatter and the DNA. We have been working on this project for almost a year now. Both of us on our own have been studying the crime scene photos, learning from books, lectures, videos for quite some time. I have lost count of the amount of hours that we have invested in this particular project, but we are happy to present this to you tonight. Catherine and I would like to state that we are not, nor are we going to be trying to attack any investigating agencies in our presentations. We are only here to show you the facts, and that's it. We don't have all the answers. We wish we did, but we can show you what we have learned and how it applies to this case. Any one of you watching can do exactly what we have done. We would gladly welcome you to do so that you can also see for yourselves that we are not being told the entire story of what really had occurred in the Crowley home before they met their fate. Since we are discussing blood, human tissue, and explicit content, we'd like to ask that the little ears leave the room. This is definitely a viewer discretion video, and our next few videos are also viewer discretion, and we'll mention that again. If you are sensitive to this topic, I would like to probably suggest that you turn the video off at this time. And other than that, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We hope that you enjoy our video.
That was excellent. Thank you, Sophia. Okay. And I'm going to try to set this up so we can share. I can make sure I share everything. And I think that there should be one more that is not showing. Which one is that? And this is always the frustrating part with trying to get this set up, because it doesn't always work.
Yeah, and I'm pulling it up on my phone too.
Oh, there it is. Okay, you guys have to forgive me. We're without sleep. Okay. We are going to actually start with the slideshow.
Yes.
Okay. So is that visible on your side?
It is.
Okay, great. And if anything, if I switch over to another report or something and you don't see it, please stop me and let me know so I can make sure I hit the appropriate share button screen.
Okay.
Okay, and this is obviously blood analysis part 1. Okay. This will be a multi-part series covering the items sampled versus items tested. We will cover each item tested first, showing the corresponding photos and lab analysis. Subsequent videos will cover the items sampled, collected, but not tested, along with their corresponding photos. Let's take a look let's start by taking a look at the suggested testing by Joe Cooksley. Make sure I can pull that up. Okay, was that, hold on. Again, I should have been a little better prepared for this one. But I need to see what page, slide, okay, page 53 of the report. Okay, that's helpful. And then we'll go here. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, Great. So, and as you guys can see, this is part of the report, and this is from Joe Cooksley. And he is writing this to Chris. And he says, this is the planned laboratory testing at this point. LP, latent print, FA firearms, QD question documents. He wanted to test the firearm, the cartridge cases, bullets, knife, blood sample from the wall, photos from writing on the wall, blood from apparent footprints, blood from laptop, photos from apparent bloody ridge detail on laptop, blood from the A key, blood from the hallway, blood from cell phone on the island, swabs from push keys on gun safe. So that tells us there was no visible blood on the gun safe. So they were just testing it to see whose DNA they would collect. Blood from the desk, pen from the office desk, notepad from the office desk, and possible known writing samples. Now, this is what he suggested that they run all the tests on, and you will see that not all of these items were tested, and then some others were tested that were not part of the original suggested items. And today, this will be the table of contents for this. This is going to be a two-part series on this one, but not the complete series of the blood analysis we're going to be doing. And so today we're going to cover items 1A-3 through item number 35. And here, item 1 is the gun. And item 1A, the gun in negative. And if I remember correctly, item 1A is the trigger, right? Isn't that the trigger?
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
To double check.
So here I got samples, 1A. Oh, 1A-1, the grip of the gun. Oh, trigger. Okay. 1A-1A1 is the grip. 1A2 is the slide, and 1A3 is the trigger.
Okay.
Okay. So. Oh, it is so hot here. It's like, oh, so hot. But they did not give us any photos from the current slide of the actual trigger of the gun, not really close up. So we're doing the entire gun on this one, since it pretty much covers the grip, the trigger, and the slide. And these are done in negative because it's to help bring out any blood or latent prints you may find. Now, these areas right here, even though this shows up and on the photo they're red and you might think that these areas are blood, this is actual just kind of like a rust material. This is normal wear and tear, what happens on this type of weapon. But this here is actual blood on the trigger right here, and over here on the grip. And these areas right here, that is blue. That's the blood. This again, here is just the rust. This here is blood. And then you see the fibers. And on this one, obviously it's a greenish color just due to the type of filters that were used.
I find it hard to believe that David, who basically enjoyed shooting guns and stuff like that, would allow his pistol to get rusted. I mean, how quickly does it do that?
No, it's not something you can control. It's just what happens to this, to oftentimes these weapons. And it doesn't mean you don't take care of it. You can, because I talked to my son about that because I saw that on another weapon somewhere else. And I asked him, I'm like, well, wait a second, why is this rusting? Why aren't you taking, and my son is very particular about his weapons. And he's like, no, it's just what happens. It's kind of like, and I don't want to say this as if it's fact because I don't understand all that stuff, but it's kind of like an oxidation type thing. You can't stop it from occurring. But, so it is often seen in those areas where the screws and stuff are.
Okay.
So, Now let's see what we're pulling up. Okay. Here is the reports we're going through now. And okay, we're dealing with today the 1A3, which as we saw previously was the trigger, and the blood that came from that. We'll highlight this so you can see it. 1A-1A3, blood from the trigger. It came back as a mixture of 2 or more individuals. Who is included is David. No one was excluded from the results of that, but it did state in the reports that Kamel and Rania don't match. So, where? Okay, I'm trying to see where. Okay, here we go. I need to pull it. I want to pull up that report so they can see it in the report themselves. And I think that was page 319. Or did I go too far? Maybe it's 310. Okay, yeah, 310. Sorry, guys. We don't always memorize all of these reports very well. But here we go. Here's item.
You have it within your link. I can tell you next time what the page number is for you.
Okay, okay, thanks. And okay, here we go. This is the actual report. And for 1A3, mixture of 2 or more, major male DNA profile matches David. Major profile does not match Kamel or Rania. It would not be expected to occur more than once among unrelated individuals in the world. Rania cannot be excluded. Kamel is excluded from being a contributor. Now, this is what I find interesting about this report. We have to remember that Kamel has three bullets with her DNA and blood and or hair and tissue on them. 2 exit wounds through her head. That would be a lot of blowback onto that weapon. There should be her blood all over that weapon and inside the weapon, and she's excluded.
Yes, and that is extremely concerning because, I mean, blowback is something that does happen, and it could get into the barrel of the gun. It can get on the grip. It can get on the hands of the killer. But
yeah,
I mean, it's excluded, and she supposedly was shot. I mean, there's 3 bullets connecting her DNA to this crime scene. In fact, for those who haven't realized this, the 3 bullets that they found at the crime scene, the spent bullets on the rug, those were all connected to Kamel and to Kamel only.
Yeah, and that's very, very important. And I've heard it said before, and I can't remember who said this, but a lot of times they were confusing and trying to say that we didn't understand this terminology of mixture of 2 or more individuals. Oh, by the time we get done through these reports, you will understand why we bring this up, because we know exactly what we're talking about. Again, like Sophia was saying, I have been working on these reports and doing research on this since I did my very first video back in 2017 or 18 about the blood. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think we kind of, and I know Sophia, like I said, she actually went out and purchased a textbook, several textbooks. So we are not experts, and we're not saying that we would probably even pass the class, but we have enough knowledge base now that when we're looking at this stuff, we feel very confident in how we're reading it.
Yeah, and I've been looking at the DNA since we received the DNA reports from Apple Valley. I can't remember if that's 2016 or 2017, but just listening to DNA lectures, which are boring as anything, but I've been listening to as many as I can come across, listening to blood lectures and reading anything I can get my hands on, whether it's online or books or what articles, just everything I can so that I can understand exactly what we're looking at. And this doesn't add up.
Right. And hopefully, my main concern every time I do one of these videos is that I don't get across what it is that we're seeing or that I see. And I know Sophia and I, we don't want to like rush a point, and we don't want to misquote something, or we don't want to not exaggerate or expand, not exaggerate, expand on a particular topic, because we're so afraid that it's very important, that minute detail is going to get lost in the shuffle. And it's oftentimes those little tiny details that will, give you a whole lot more information.
We also don't want to talk down to you all, because we're all adults and you can do your own research on this. And that's our point, is just to present the evidence. And so we're trying to walk a very fine line on all this. So.
Right. And for those of you who are only listening and you're not watching, I'm going to read this next slide, which basically is what I just previously stated. The only person's blood the results prove were on the gun was David's. Rania's blood cannot be excluded. Now the real head scratcher, Kamel. She had 2 exit wounds to her head and 3 bullets with her blood or DNA, but her blood doesn't match. Think about that for just one moment. Her blood is everywhere in that house, but not on the weapon.
And blowback is just something that occurs every time you fire a weapon.
Especially into a body and a head, right? Because it's so vascular. The head is super vascular, lots of blood coming that goes on there. So to not have blowback and her blood on the weapon itself is a definite head scratcher. Okay, we did the slide 310. And now here's 1B1 is the next one up on the list is the magazine. And that's item 1B. Item 1A was the gun, 1B is the magazine. And yes. Here, this right here was the cartridge that they took out of the chamber in the gun. And then this is the magazine. And this negative is obviously a very poor one, but again, you can only do what you can with these. Here is the blood, and then a print. Another visual, the blood, and the print. You can see ridge detail right here, especially here, and then some here. And at this angle, you can see ridge detail there, but this looks like little drops and pools of blood. I don't know if pool is the correct word, but there's definitely more blood there than what would be on a print. And then some on the side here as well. And here we have a better view of the ridge detail right here. And then this drops of blood. And I know at one point, because Sophia and I, we spent a lot of time on this because she had a lot of questions about this photo, and I'll let her tell you guys that in just a second. But the whole thing is this one event or is this 2? Did someone leave a bloody fingerprint and then drop blood on top of it? Or was it so saturated with blood that when they touched it, it pooled here and a little bit there and then left a print? We don't know. And in fact, the reports state that they don't know either. They couldn't determine at all because the prints are actually layered. There's more than just one set of prints here, they're layered. And when you get a close-up of this one, and I'll see if I can do that, I'll pull out of the slideshow and then just go to the photo. This actually looks to be part of this ridge detail here, but this down here does not. Do you have anything you want to add?
To me, it looks like it was blood droplets and that they had wiped through it. The other just looks like transfer from their hand, but like you said, it's layered, and I have to question why we're seeing so much activity on this magazine when it's supposed to be a simple murder or double murder suicide. I
Right.
mean, you just put the magazine into the gun and you shoot it. He should not have had to remove the magazine to clear the jam, right?
No, you would not take a magazine out of a weapon. Because
So-
if a cartridge jams in, all you do is you rack the slide and it clears it, especially that type. I would show you on mine, but I don't want people to freak out and call the cops and go, oh my God, she's got a gun on the screen. But you just don't want to do that. But yeah, you just take it and you rack the slide and it pops it out, clears the jam, and then brings up the next bullet out of the
I did come across something while looking at videos on YouTube in regards to the type of gun that David has. In this particular gun, you can change the slide to a 9mm, and you can change the magazine to a 9mm, and you can turn his particular gun into a 9mm. You can also, the slides are interchangeable, so you could change it with another gun too. Well, another gun that's similar to what his gun is. So,
yeah, and that makes me question, because in the reports it states that, and we will bring this up when we do and I'm sure I'm dragging Sophia along for the ride. She just doesn't know it. She's come along with all of them. But when I do the ballistics one, because I really want to bring that out, in the reports where it states poor reproducibility, when they were firing test shots in their lab, they could not reproduce the same striations. Their words, not ours. Poor reproducibility. And that maybe, and I'm not saying it's a fact, and neither is Sophia, but maybe that could explain it.
yeah, I mean, I'm just bringing this information up. I mean, that video is on YouTube, and I'm more than happy to put it in the comments after this video goes live, so that other people can watch and see for themselves that the slide is interchangeable with a 9mm, but it's also interchangeable with other similar guns to what David had. And you just have to take out this particular caliber magazine and put in the 9mm magazine with the 9mm slide, and there you go. You have a 9mm.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
So,
Okay, and we're gonna do the close-up here. And here, this is the ridge detail, these blue dots here. This is the ridge detail. These are the drops of blood. And this is why I'm saying here, this looks like it's just all part of it. Like if this is a thumb, or I don't even know what fingerprint this is, but whatever print made this, multiple prints is according to the reports. It just looks like whatever, it was saturated with blood when they touched that magazine. But then down here, and then again, you see same thing. And this is, oh yeah, when we're looking close, look, here's ridge detail here, but then here's ridge detail here. This looks like this is layered on top of this. No wonder they said that. I never saw this before.
yeah, it's pretty clear here that it's layered up. So this is multiple touchings,
Yeah,
which doesn't make sense, because why was he removing the magazine? He only shot 7, well, there were 7 bullets, right? Casings.
6 casings, I believe, and then the one that was the cartridge was ejected. But yeah, and this now makes sense, because in the reports they state that when they're looking at this, they're like, we can't tell. There are layers, the prints are layers, and we can't tell which event occurred when and where. And now that makes sense. Looking at this, it's like, okay, here's this set of ridge prints. Here's this set of ridge prints, which is clearly different from this. So
that one looks like a palm print, and then fingers, maybe thumb.
Well, it's hard to say. Well, it's on that magazine. It's a very small area, so it's hard to say. But then down here, like you said, this looks like this is drops that came that were a different event from this, because the color is different even. So is that 3 here? I don't know. I'm tossing this out as a thought. We know here's a set of ridge detail. Here's a set of another ridge detail, but the color is just different here. This is brighter than this. So is this a third set or third drops on top of it? Don't know. No clue. That's interesting. Sorry, guys, I just had not really taken a closer look at this photo before. You would think we would.
Is there any way to go back to the original? So the,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let me go there and then I'll, wait, let me see. Move us out of the way here real quick. I think that's the only photo, or is that, did I have another one? Yeah, that was the only photo I have, but let me see if I can.
Okay. So, I mean, you can still see.
Let me get a little bit clearer here. So those bright blue spots on the other one was these here with this, and then these here was darker. But yeah, this looks totally different than like a whole separate print from this area up here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
And that's why I had asked you. I was like, do you think that that blood right there on the magazine was drops that had been swiped or wiped through?
Yeah, and that's this one right here could have been, but this up here, I still think that this was just part of this print. So whatever made that had a lot of blood on finger, the thumb, whatever made this print here, and that just was deposited and was just happened to be part of this. It's kind of like what you were saying, like a transfer. Yep. Even if you have like a wet area and you press something into it, it'll like leave some of the wet stuff there, but then it'll be there. I'm not explaining it right, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, actually, I do know what you're talking about.
Okay, good.
I'm not sure if everybody else does.
And then down here, though, I think is where your point is valid. You know, like this was dropped on top after. It's a.
And I think the side right there also was part of that.
Yep. Like when, again, grabbing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for zooming in on that.
Oh, you're welcome. So,
okay.
Oh, let me get this back.
And the results were.
Oops. Let me. Okay, so for item 1B, the magazine blood analysis, it's like, let's look at the results, and it will tell us. Boy, move us out of here. So 1B1 is here. It is from area on the magazine. Again, mixture of 2 or more individuals. The blood that is included is David. No one is excluded. But again, it does not match Kamel or Rania. Now, they can't be, now, and here's the thing. This is where oops, sorry. It's jumping the gun on me here. Let me find their report. I think it's this right here. And how they word these things. Okay, mixture again of 2 or more individuals. It only matches David. It does not match Kamel and Rania. But yet down here, they say that they can't be excluded as being possible contributors to the mixture. So on that one, it's like, okay, so we know that there's more than one person's DNA in that blood. And the only person that they can positively identify is David. Now, if David is the one who shot himself, how did he then shoot himself, take out the magazine, look at it or whatever, fill it back up, and then, you know, with his own blood, put the magazine back in the gun? Okay.
mean, the only thing is he had to have been bleeding beforehand, but we don't see any cuts on him besides his missing right hand.
Yes.
So,
and that's and if David were to be the perpetrator, there is no way, according to the narrative as it is written and told, that this blood would match David at all. It should be a complete match for Kamel and Rania. I mean, they should be the ones being the contributors, not David, you know, because prior to him shooting himself, according to them, he's not injured, he's not hurt. There's nothing else happened other than he supposedly shot his wife and child and then shot himself. But they failed to explain how latent fingerprints, bloody latent fingerprints with ridge detail in his blood is on the magazine inside the gun. Did I say that right? I just oftentimes don't think I'm getting it across. I just don't
no,
think he gets it.
I understood what was said.
Yeah.
The narrative says that he was not injured before he shot himself, that his body did not have any injuries to it. So where did his blood come from?
Yep.
Because it's not Kamel's blood, and it's as a major contributor, like the wall is, or the footprints are. So where did his blood come from?
Yeah, because we don't find really any of David's blood throughout that house at all. Not and things that they've tested, but here it is on the magazine inside a gun that they say was used to shoot him, that he used to shoot himself. It does not work like that, people. His blood would not end up inside the gun on the magazine after he shot himself or even due to him shooting himself. He would have to be injured or somebody else was handling that weapon who had contact with his blood, who then had contact and transferred that with their print, or even just blood, which then highlighted maybe David's prints from a previous time where he was handling the magazine, which is also a possibility. So say this is a gloved hand, so to speak, and the blood on that gloved hand then just highlights the ridge detail that was left in prints that were there before. Again, which was one of the possibilities, because the lab could not tell the difference. They flat out state, we can't tell, so we're kind of at a loss. And we will cover that in a latent print video. But
and
again,
also, blowback will not get on the magazine if the magazine is appropriately in the gun.
correct,
So
there's just
how
no
did
way.
Kamel and Rania's DNA get on that gun magazine?
Correct.
So
Correct. How did any of their blood? There should be no blood on that magazine at all.
correct.
None. So that is another one of these really very curious situations. Okay, and now we'll go on to the next one. And I'll make this smaller so. And again, this is just reiterating what we were just saying. The blood tested from the magazine, which is inside the gun, is matched to David. It is a mixture of 2 or more individuals, and Kamel and Rania cannot be excluded. However, the blood matches David. How does David's blood get inside the gun on the magazine? This is another head scratcher. And again, this is just going back to the report that we just saw. Okay, and that will go back to. And here's another thing that really keeps us going, and that's the knife. Here it is. And then here, this right here would be David's leg that is covered by the blue blanket. And then here's the knife. And the blade is pointing up toward his body, up toward the upper portion of his body. and the knife is open, blade down, pointing up. And here it is in the box. So this blade was toward, this section of the blade was toward the floor. This was what you just saw, this part right here. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of good photos of this knife. And with the camo, it's really hard to try to find any kind of bloodstain pattern. So with this, we'll just go ahead and stick with the results. And again, on the blade, it's a mixture of 2 or more individuals. They didn't have minor contributors. They don't have anybody included, but all 3 of them, David, Camille, and Rania, they cannot be excluded. They could not be definitively included, but they could not be excluded. And I think maybe a lot of that had to do because it was small, like the areas that they were able to test to find blood from, which was 3 separate areas on the gun, which would be, let's see. I will show you just a second.
The blade.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the picture of the. Okay, so there was like, say this area right here of the blade, and somewhere up here, there's like an indentation. It was somewhere up here, and then on the handle somewhere, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the 3 very small areas that were, barely detectable, they were able to find 3 small sections that had blood. So was it cleaned? I don't know. They didn't mention that it was cleaned, but it's interesting that that would be the only areas that there would be any blood on that knife. And the fact that it was even at the scene, why bring a knife to a gunfight? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so yeah, right here, I put no one is positively included. However, all 3 cannot be excluded. Was this due to degradation of the sample, due to possible cleaning? Maybe, maybe not. Again, they don't mention cleaning, but they don't really mention anything about the knife, which is, I think, okay, there are so many things that boggle my mind with this case. And this is really one of them, because they walk in, 3 deceased people. You look at the scalp pieces, which are clearly have straight edges. You have a knife at the scene, but they don't pay it any attention. They really just kind of ignored it.
It's an afterthought, basically.
That's a good word, afterthought. I like that. Okay, now we're going to go on to item 11, blood from the west wall. That's a lot of blood. Now, I was looking at this and I was going to ask, I just never had a chance to ask you, so I'll ask you now. Does this look like to you like they did it twice, like they made an A first and it didn't quite work, so they went over it again?
Yes.
Okay.
I think a lot of the letters look that way to me.
Okay.
It's very weird.
Yeah. Yeah, because this really kind of highlights where a previous one was written. Okay, so let's look at the results from the test from the blood on the wall. I just keep moving us all over because we're just in the way. Now this one comes back as single source DNA, and it Kamel is the one who is included, and it yet does not match David and Rania. So let's look at that actual report. Oh, let me go here, find that report, just here. Yeah, indicated as female. Yeah, okay, so, and again, it's the wording that they use. You will see that oftentimes they put excluded, included, does not match. So here they decide to choose that they just don't match. But since they're saying it's single source DNA, so only one contributor. And this is how why I wanted to bring this out before, because all these others, mixture of 2 or more, which means that there are 2 or more people who contributed to that sample. And then on this one, they're very clear, it's single source and it indicates as female, but they don't say David and Rania are excluded, which David should be excluded since he's obviously not female. They just simply state it doesn't match. So that I found interesting. Anything you'd like to add? Okay.
It's very cut and dry. To me, it is. So 44.1.
I'm sorry. What do you do? I need.
Are we looking at 44.1 also, or are we just going? Oh, that's later.
Yeah, we're going doing the first aid this time.
Jumping ahead.
Okay, and now for the slideshow, let me move us out of the way here again from the current slide. And these are the apparent bloody footprints. So this was item number 14. And then this still cracks me up. Straight line. This one hell of a toe.
To me, it looks like a hand.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me.
I agree. And it says, okay, let's look at the results of the test run on the bloody footprints. Okay, item number 14. And again, DNA indicated as female. It's not enough genetic material to know if there are any minor contributors. So the major contributor they believe who is included for sure is Kamel. Again, they're back to just does not match, doesn't match David and Rania. Again, hold on, I messed up. If, go to this report, if it's indicating as female, why would David not be excluded? They just say it doesn't match. Their writing in these reports is so bizarre.
I don't understand it.
I don't either. I mean, head scratchers all over the place.
Yeah.
And okay. So again, for those of you who are only listening, it's single source DNA indicated as female and matches Kamel. David and Rania do not match. The report does not exclude either David or Rania, yet the report states single source. You know, we sit here and we read through these reports and we go over them, and a lot of times we just sit there and like throw our hands up in the air. What do you do with this?
I would like to point out that there is a lot of blood all over the wooden floor area, and there's even blood leading up to the footprints, but they only got Kamel from that DNA, or from that swab. Her DNA was the one that matched. So because they did not test the rest of the blood that's on the floor, we have no idea if that only belonged to Kamel or if it belonged to the other two, David and Rania. But I mean, to me, common sense would say that there would be a mixture within the bloody footprints, but it's not showing that. Our future videos will cover more about that area, and I'll show you more photos of that area where the blood is like practically leading up to it, and how. But anyway, I'm just rambling now. Yeah. So it boggles my mind that they only have a single source,
right?
When there's 2 other people who were killed in that house.
And when she
Supposedly.
says leading up to it, it doesn't mean that there are other prints walking toward and then
No, no.
nothing like that. It's the direction of the blood spatter that heads
Correct.
toward that direction is what she means. And we will be bringing that up in a future video.
It's blood droplets and spatter for sure. And how it didn't mix, I don't understand.
Yeah. Okay, and item number 23 is the laptop, the blood on the laptop on the island. And you see they have 23 A, B, and C.
Mhm.
And this one, I'm gonna come out of this view here because I really want to zoom in on this because this color, I did it again. I keep forgetting I'm not on a photo, I'm on a slide. I keep moving.
Oh,
I keep moving it. Stop that.
is that after they put the amino black on there?
I don't think this is the amino black yet. This is just, I just did it in negative and then put a different color filter on this one.
Okay, okay.
But I liked how this color really brought out the ridge detail in
Yeah.
all of those sections. It's very visible. There's definitely ridge detail. Now, we don't know, is it palm, fingerprints? Not a clue. But to me, and I could be wrong because I'm not an expert, but I would
Looks
think,
like a palm.
yeah, I mean, I
Sorry.
would think, yeah, I mean, I would think that there would be enough detail here to get something, to be able to match it to someone, but none of these prints are matched, to anybody. That one might be a little more difficult, but definitely
That
number.
might be material right there on the end.
I'm sorry, what here?
That one, no, the other area. I guess
A?
towards C.
Oh, see.
Yeah, there. I think that might be material like denim or.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I don't know, this could be ridge detail too, but could it be a fabric pattern? Maybe. And see the swirls here, how it kind of loops a little bit, but yet this doesn't look like a looping and this here doesn't look like a looping. So is it a mixture of material in a print? I don't know. We're just kind of guessing here and spitballing it. But look at this. This is interesting.
Yeah.
Why this pattern?
That's a definite void.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so now we're going to look at the test results from the laptop on the island. Again, it's item number 23. Again, indicates as female, not enough genetic material to know if there are minor contributors. Again, it's, I don't know. I don't understand exactly how they run their tests because I would think that if a test result comes back and says it indicates it's female, I'm not sure I would be looking for minor contributors if there's only one person. I would think that would make more sense if it came back with 2 or more, but, and again, same result, match, Kamel is included and David and Rania, they just say they do not match. But again, they're not excluded. And item number 27, the transfer on the hallway next to Ranya's door. And here it is, a negative, which helps brings it out. And this really looks like it came from some kind of material or hair, maybe.
It's really hard to tell because of the texture of the wall.
Yep. And item 27, again, it indicates it's female, Kamel is included, and David and Rania, it just doesn't match. You know, same stuff, different day. It's just like it's repeating itself. And the last one we're going to cover tonight is the cell phone on the island, which is right here. And then here, these lighter areas, of course, is the blood. And just again, poor photos, poor photo quality. And the photos that they gave us were, you know, they're horrible.
That was very frustrating.
Very, very, very. Now this one, let's see. This one says it's a mixture of 2 or more individuals. Again, notice the wording, mixture of 2, single source, DNA indicated as female. So this tells us that this has more than one person's DNA mixed in it again. And who is excluded? David. But Kamel and
it was his phone.
Was it his phone?
Yes.
Which is really, because you would think his DNA would be all over that.
Correct.
Okay, let's look at that again.
Because Kamel's is on the dresser in the bedroom. So.
Okay, so this is David's phone.
Correct.
Oh boy. And we know that when they swab it, that they got, this is Kamel's blood. Well, no, they can't.
Kamel and Rania cannot be excluded.
Yeah, they can't be excluded. So let's go to the report.
But
again,
David was excluded.
Yes, mixture of 2 or more individuals. Kamel and Rania cannot be excluded for being possible contributors, mind you. David Crowley is excluded from being a contributor. Now, if you're touching your phone, hold on.
Oh, yeah. You touch it.
Okay, I'm touching my phone all over the place.
All over.
And if I have blood on my hands and I am now touching my phone and I am transferring that blood from my hand onto this phone and it gets stuck down here, they come in and they swab this and they get some of that blood. You're going to have my DNA on that. My DNA would be included as it would be detected.
Yeah, because you even pin it up against your face when you talk on it or listen. So you're getting sweat glands, you're getting.
Yeah, see,
so
I never do. I never put my phone up. I always talk like this. But I know a lot of people do. And I don't know how David did. He had earphones. So was he always just using his earphones? I don't know. But it's still, like you said, though, let's point out, hands sweat.
Oh, absolutely.
There would be sweat DNA. There would be palm prints. There would be handprints, DNA from his hand all over that phone.
Skin cells.
Yes,
everywhere
all over that phone. But yet he's excluded from being on that.
Yeah, even when I do this, I'm shedding skin cells. I'm shedding DNA. So, I mean, you're rubbing it against the phone. It's a touch screen. You are automatically depositing DNA every time.
Yeah. So, I mean, granted, I know they're testing blood, but that blood is on top of DNA from the cell phone's owner or David. So his should have been in there. They should have been able to detect his DNA.
Yeah.
And why that didn't happen, I don't know. But again, it's a mixture of 2 or more individuals. Now they're saying that Kamel and Rania cannot be excluded, but they are not definitely included. Again, it's the wording that they use. Oops, let's go over here. I'm trying to keep us out of the way. I'm not succeeding very well. So yes, it's the DNA. Oh, is this just DNA or was this blood? Hold on. No, they had to have tested the blood. Let
I
me,
believe it was blood.
yeah,
I'll go back and double check.
let me go to this one page real quick.
Yeah, there was blood. DNA profiling was performed on blood previously indicating on one or more areas, and this was included in that list. So
Yeah, because I got a lot of this here and I'm trying to figure out why they don't have item 35 listed here.
oh, this is right above 1A. So go back to page
Oh.
310.
Okay, let me see something.
And it's further up on that
Oh, up here.
page.
Oh, right here. I see what you're saying. Was preferred. Okay, it's just so everybody can see that. And you can see the screen, right? It's up on the screen. Sophia, can you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, okay. Like she pointed out, this is in the report. DNA profiling was performed on blood previously indicated on one area, and then it lists item number 35, right? Where's item 35?
Yes, it's the second line.
Oh,
in
right
the book.
there. Okay, items 11, 14, 23, 27, 35, 38. Okay, so they're taking, they are, okay, so it is the blood DNA, but again, if the blood touches something, you think it's going to pick up the DNA that's surrounding it.
Well, they use a swab, so
Right.
they're swabbing through it. They would pick up
Yeah,
any other DNA that's there. I mean, it's just gonna happen. But his was not detected.
yeah. So, oops. Wait, okay, yeah, that's right. So let's go back to this report and we'll go over this again very briefly. 1A3 was the trigger, 2 or more individuals. David was the only one included. 1B1, the magazine. They don't even say how many people were on that, did they? Hold on a second.
Magazine, mixture of 2 or more individuals.
Okay, why?
Major male DNA profile matches David. Major profile does not match Kamal or Rania.
Okay, hold on a second. I must have accidentally erased this and didn't realize it. Okay, so trigger 2 or more individuals. David is included. Magazine, David is included. Again, that's the question part.
Kamal and Rania cannot be excluded from possible contributors. And then at the very end, they exclude her, Rania.
On which one?
On the magazine. It's the very end. It says Rania Crowley is obtained from the known sample of Rania Crowley. It is estimated that 99.95 of the general population can be excluded from, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, we're tired. But we do know that, Camille and Rania cannot be excluded. We do know that David is included, but the profile does not match Camille and Rania. Again, mixture of 2 or more. So who's the other contributor? And that's a lot of our questions. Who is this third person?
We're just going to have even more questions as we go through everything.
Yeah.
So,
and on 14, 23, 27 indicated as female, all for Camille. Actually 11 is single source. And then the other 3 are DNA that matches Camille, but yet they don't exclude and cannot exclude David. Please explain that. And then 35 is mixture of two or more. David is excluded, his cell phone, but not his DNA or blood on the cell phone. But yet Camille and Rania cannot be excluded. So we've covered the areas so far. On the gun, we've covered the trigger and the magazine, the knife, the wall in the living room, the footprints near the island, the laptop on the counter, blood in the hallway next to Rania's door, and then the cell phone, which is on the island.
Lots of questions.
Oh.
For the listeners tonight, this information can be found in the group. This was located on the BCA lab results that Catherine was pulling this information off of. It's also located on Greg Fernandez's website, a gray stage at wordpress.com, or the gray stage at wordpress.com.
And it's, yeah, the one I pulled from was the large one, the 488 page one. And
the data request.
Yes, exactly. And it was pages number 53, 310, 311, and then 319. Those were the pages that I pulled this information from.
Okie dokie.
So hopefully, again, this is kind of where I often feel like I failed in trying to bring the point home that blood is where it should be. Blood doesn't match who it should be matching. Nothing is making sense in this case.
Correct.
Out of all the places, the only place where David's blood is found on the magazine inside the gun, where it shouldn't be. Camille, her blood should be all over that gun. It's not there. You know, we have to remember she was shot 3 times. It's not there. Where's Rania's blood? It's,
and as we go on, it's just gonna get even crazier. I mean, the information that we have uncovered is just, it's gonna blow your minds, honestly. And so I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm sorry, but if we give it all out right now without an explanation, it will be bad.
yeah, I think we'd end up with more problems, more questions and answers. And right now, so hopefully you guys can understand why it's been taking us so long, because a lot of it is Sophia and I both individually as well as together went and read up and just dove into the subject, trying to make sure we understood what was being said, trying to make sure that we understand the aspects of the blood in this crime scene. Now it's different for everything. I mean, we're just focusing on this. It's not like we could say, oh yeah, we'll go look at and we could figure something out. Well, I mean, we could, but we'd have to go study that. But for this one, like she said, it's been countless hours. For her, I came to the case in 2017. I'm sorry, 3000. God, it just seems like it's been that long. But in 2017, but she was here the year before or whatever. Yeah. And so it's from the moment that this information became available, it caught her attention and it caught my attention, and we were both looking at it. And it wasn't until about a year ago we're like, hey, wait a second, why don't we just kind of work on this together instead of, you know, repeating information? And it's taken this long to finally try to start putting the pieces together, trying to present it in a way so that it's understandable. God, I hope I did okay on the slides. It just doesn't feel.
We also want to know what we're talking about, so that as we're getting out information, we can show you and back it up. I mean, just looking at this for a couple days is not going to do it. And so that's what we've been doing, is learning everything that we can and then applying it to the crime scene and all that. And it's a lot of work. You'll see. You'll definitely see that, especially when we get to the blood spatter by the hallway and behind the recliner against that east wall. That, I mean, there's so much there. And so that's all I'm going to say on that one.
Yeah. There is more to come.
But it's exciting. I swear to you, it's exciting. And I can't wait to get that out to everybody. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks or so, we're so close, so close. And it's just, we started getting burned out too.
Well, yeah, I mean, because we spend a lot of hours on this, but again, nailing it home.
Yes.
The main things I really want you guys to go and read, go pull these reports, read it for yourself, is the fact that Kamel has 2 exit wounds in her head and a 3rd bullet with her DNA on it. And her blood is not on the gun.
Correct.
Not there. David, who supposedly was the last person killed, why is his blood inside the gun on the magazine in a print?
Correct.
These are the things that don't make sense.
When he wasn't noted to have any injuries besides missing his hand, but I mean,
which they say occurred after.
Yes, the narrative says occurred afterwards. So where's that blood coming from?
We certainly know that Paleo did not eject the magazine and then put a print on it and then put the magazine back in the gun.
Are you sure?
I know, right?
Because I mean, he has been known to do so many things, so we don't know that.
I'm sorry, you're right. He's super dog.
The magical dog. Very creative.
So hopefully we have your wheels spinning now, because that's the whole purpose of this one, to get you start thinking, going, wait a second, this isn't adding up. What's wrong with this picture? Because that is where you should be at right now.
And if the listeners are in the group and on Facebook, you're more than welcome to PM me. Tagging me on Facebook right now is just not going to work. I get way too many tags and I forget. But if you PM me, I can give you the names of the textbooks that I've been looking at and using. I can also give you the links to the YouTube videos and articles. I've saved everything. And I'm more than happy to share. That's what the group is for. So, you know, I welcome anybody asking questions politely, please. And I'm more than happy to share with you so that you can also see for yourselves what we are seeing, if that's what you'd like to do. And I gladly welcome that. So anyway, I think that's about it for tonight.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And again, this has been painfully repetitive, but it's done on purpose. We're not being repetitive because we don't know what we're doing. We're repeating on purpose to drive these points home. So again, we really hope you are really scratching your head going, wait a second, now I need to read this. And we hope you go read the reports, and we are so thankful you joined us, and we look forward to sharing more information with you. Have a great night.
Have a great night.